Hello everyone, hope all of you are safe and healthy. Welcome to IASbaba's rapid revision series for Prelims 2021. This is session 30 and day 40, and the topics we have are IT, computer science and other science and technology. Then these are the hot topics we are going to discuss: the 5G technology, then air fiber, then card tokenization, then distributed denial of service attack and the Shadowpad attack, then wireless charging concept, and then artificial neurons and the artificial neural network, and then narrowband internet of things of BSNL, then darknet or the dark web, then deep learning, and then thermal imaging via nanocrystals. Coming to the first one, the 5G technology. Friends, we know that 5G technology is the latest one in the IT industry, and it was in news because Chinese telecom vendors Huawei and ZTE have not found a place in Government of India's 5G trials. So we know that Government of India's 5G trials have started, and these two companies, they didn't find a place because of geopolitical reasons. Friends, before getting to 5G, we will learn what is 1G, 2G, 3G and 4G. Friends, we know that the internet works in the 300 megahertz and 300 gigahertz band, and this is called the microwave band. After that we get the X-ray band and others. So in this, the lowest frequency is the 1G, that is in 300 to 400 megahertz band, we call it as 1G. And when we move upper in the band, when we move towards 70 gigahertz, 100 gigahertz, 200 gigahertz, etc., we move towards 5G, 6G, 7G, etc. So why is this difference, friends? Friends, when the band is lower or when the frequency is lower, the wavelength of the wave will be more, and this wavelength, it can travel through longer distances. So a 300 megahertz wave will be like this, but a 300 gigahertz wave will be like this. So this wave, it cannot travel to longer distances, so it gets distorted, but this can travel through longer distances. But the drawback is that this wave, it cannot carry more number of information. So to the maximum, it can carry 2 bits at a time. But here, look at this, how many bits it can carry. So in crude, we can say that it can carry more information, it has more capacity, but this has lower capacity and lower speed. But however, friends, in the earlier days, we know that the tower density was less, or in other words, one tower, it used to cater to 200 kilometers of radius. Or in other words, we can say that the waves, they had to travel 20 kilometers in all the directions in one tower. So in order to travel 20 kilometers, we had to maintain the lower frequencies. But now the density of the tower has been increased, we know that. So everywhere we have towers, and hence there is no necessity of the wave to travel for longer distances. So now those waves which are capable of carrying high data, but even though they can travel only for lesser distances, are being chosen. So that is why we are moving from 4G to 5G to 6G, 7G likewise. So as and when this range reduces, we will move towards further generations. So the traveling distance goes on reducing, and the data speed and the data capacity goes on increasing. So in the future, it might not be a surprise that we might get one tower in every household. So this is how the generation is moving from 1G to 5G. Now coming to some of the facts, the second generation was started in 1990s and its capacity is 64 kbps. We all know this. And then in 2000, the third generation came and its capacity was 1 megabits per second to 2 megabits per second. And the 4G's capacity was 100 Mbps to 1 Gbps. And now the 5G can start from 1 Gbps and it can go till 20 Gbps. So we see that the speed is increasing. Along with that, the capacity also increases. Friends, now the difference between 4G and 5G. The data bandwidth of 5G is above 1 Gbps, whereas for the 4G, it lies between 2 Mbps to 1 Gbps. So friends, during the analog times, how we used to calculate the bandwidth? It was the width between two bands, that is from 100 gigahertz to 200 gigahertz. 100 gigahertz was the bandwidth. But now this is not the way to calculate a bandwidth. Now the bandwidth is the lowest data speed minus the highest data speed. So here the lowest data speed is 2 Mbps and highest data speed is the 1 Gbps. So this becomes the bandwidth. So in other words, bandwidth is the speed of internet, or bandwidth is the number of bits that is carried per second on an average by an internet channel. And then the latency in the 4G network is about 50 milliseconds, but in 5G network it is virtually 0 or about 1 millisecond. So what is latency, friends? It is the time taken for a website to open after you click on the website. So the time taken for the IASbaba website to open after you click on it gives the latent time. So in 4G it takes 50 milliseconds, and in 5G it might not take any time, or maximum it can take 1 milliseconds. Then consumption of power by 5G network is comparatively lesser than 4G. Friends, the longer the waves will travel, larger is the antenna that is required to capture them. So in the 1G, 2G and all, these waves, they were longer in wavelength or lesser in frequency, and they used to travel for 20 to 30 kilometers, and we had to take up larger antennas to capture them. But now the frequency is increasing and the traveling distance is decreasing. So in that case, we require only smaller antennas to capture these waves. So smaller is the antenna, the smaller will be the power consumption. So in 5G, the one more advantage is that the power consumed will be less. And then it is capable of machine to machine communication, and that is needed in IoT or Internet of Things. Friends, what is machine to machine communication? Consider 4G. So in 4G, consider two cars that are coming against one another in a road, and if this car is having a brake failure, so this has to communicate with the car. Now how the communication goes in 4G? It goes to the nearby tower, and nearby tower connects it to the satellite, and satellite connects it to the nearby tower, and it gives signal to the car. But now in 5G, this car will be having a transmitter, and it will transmit the short range waves, and this car will be having the receiver, and it will receive it, and the communication will be from machine to machine, not from machine to satellite and satellite to machine. So this is very helpful in Internet of Things. Then coming to more differences, 5G can take benefit of cloud based virtual radio access network, while 4G technology are not capable of working with RAN. Friends, what is a RAN? So here we can see that the network between various mobile towers, and the network between various servers which are connected to mobile towers, and the network between various mobile apparatus. So this is the radio access network. So this can be the main network, the core network and the external network. Now this network is virtual in 5G. So what do we mean by virtual, friends? So earlier these mobile towers, they used to be connected via optical fibers. So in 1G it was connected via normal cables, and then in 3G and 4G it was connected via optical fibers, and now they are virtually connected. So as they are virtually connected, as we move from one tower to another tower, so as we are moving in a road, so what happened during the 4G? It used to happen that we used to lose the signal from this tower and then catch up the signal of this tower after some distance of time. So these are the two towers. We used to lose signal here, we used to catch up here. But now these towers are virtually connected. They are not connected via optical fibers. So now what happens is that these towers, they automatically communicate with each other, and this tower passes on the messages to other tower as soon as we lose the signal of this tower and as soon as we start getting the signal of this tower. So now while we are traveling, we will get uninterrupted internet via 5G. And then 5G can identify the fixed devices and mobile devices. It identifies each device with the help of cognitive radio techniques and hence provides the most suitable delivery channel. So friends, this is similar to the previous discussion which we had discussed in the virtual RAN. But now consider you are roaming around these towers. So now this 5G will get to know which tower is nearer to you, and the signal will be coming from that very particular tower. So when you are from here to here, this tower will give you the channel, and when you are traveling from here to here, this tower will give you the channel. So likewise, it will get your position via cognitive radio techniques, or in other words, which is the nearest path for the radio signal to travel. So this is how the 5G is an advantageous. And then 4G uses a narrow slice of available spectrum from 600 megahertz to 2 gigahertz. So we learned that 300 megahertz to 300 gigahertz are the microwaves. This is the range of internet to travel. So within that, the 600 megahertz to 2 gigahertz is the range of 4G, and for 5G it is 20 to 70 gigahertz. So automatically the frequency is high, but however the distance traveled is less. So this is all about 4G and 5G, and this is all about 5G technology. Then coming to next, air fiber. Friends, recently Bharat Air Fiber services have been inaugurated at Akola in Maharashtra, providing the residents wireless internet connections on demand. And this is an initiative of BSNL. And how does it work, friends? It works very similar to DTH, friends. Friends, you know DTH, the direct to home service of dish. So earlier, how the dish used to be connected? So the service provider, he used to bring the cable from his office and used to connect it to your home. But then the DTH came. So how the DTH works, friends? So this service provider, he will emit the signals and there will be an antenna above your home and this will capture and it will render you the DTH. The same way internet is also being contemplated to be provided. So we know this router. So this Wi-Fi router everyone will be having in our home, and this is the antenna of fiber to home service or the FTH antenna, and this antenna will capture the signals from the tower and it will deliver it to the router. So this is how the fiber to home service is being contemplated by the BSNL. So here one advantage is that we need not provide wired connections to every households and to every Wi-Fi routers. And however, it has some disadvantage as well. We will see in detail. Now, to provide BSNL fiber to home service wireless connectivity to a range of 20 km. So this can access the signals from the tower from a range of 20 kilometers. And then the service is becoming popular due to work from home and e-learning. So we have issues regarding e-learning in the rural areas. So this can be helpful there. And then the connectivity speed is 100 Mbps. And BSNL is offering various broadband plans in wireless segments. So the speed is 100 Mbps, a nominal speed which is enough for listening online classes. Then it uses unlicensed spectrum. So what is licensed and unlicensed spectrum, friends? It is similar to general bogie and reserved bogies. So in the reserved coaches, the seats will be reserved, but in the general coaches, the seats will not be reserved. Rather, anyone can sit and travel if the seat is vacant. So the same way, some part of the spectrum will be left for unlicensed category. So anyone can use that. So what happens is that in rural areas, this unlicensed spectrum will not be used at all by many service providers. But however, when it comes to urban areas, almost all the unlicensed spectrum is used by almost all the private service providers, and BSNL is making use of this spectrum which is unlicensed to provide internet to the rural areas. And then it uses the line of sight radio waves to deploy the services. So this can be advantage as well as disadvantage. While the line of sight can provide wireless connection, the line of sight is a must for the signal to travel from the tower to the antenna. And then as in rural places, there is less usage of Wi-Fi routers and appliances like microwave ovens. Thus, there is very less interference in these airwaves. So one more disadvantage why this cannot be used in city is that in city we will be having several Wi-Fi routers and there will be several microwave ovens which also operate in microwaves. So once the signal enters to your home, it gets distorted by other Wi-Fi routers of neighbors and also the waves of the microwave in your home. But however, in rural areas, these will be less, hence it can work there. But however, friends, this is a low budget thing and this cannot be contemplated once more service providers, if they start using this unlicensed spectrum. And also, if more microwave ovens and if more Wi-Fi routers, if they start accumulating in rural areas, even then this will not work. Then come to next, the card tokenization. So friends, card tokenization is in news in India because of increased cases of card skimming. So what is a card skimming, friends? So this is a swiping machine and here you swipe the card, but here in the end of it I will place a detector, and when you swipe, this detector will capture the data hidden in your card and it can use for other fraudulent means. So this is how skimming takes place. Even this happens in the ATM machines. So at the place where you insert your card, there will be a skimming machine. So this skimming machine, it will catch the data hidden in your card when you insert and take the card out, and it can use the data for fraudulent means. So to avoid this, card tokenization has been brought in. Friends, what is card tokenization? It is that your data will be stored in a server or a vault server. So a safety locker will be there in the virtual network which will store your card data, and later you will be given a token number. So by using the token number which you alone know it, you can perform the transactions and you need not enter all the details of your card while doing every transactions. So in a crude, we can say this can be the procedure of card tokenization. First time customer signs up to a website and he does the initial transaction. So while doing the initial transaction, he has to enter all the card details, and then once the transaction is complete, then the data of the card will be stored in a vault, and then this vault, it provides a token. So might be ASH50 might be the token that is given to you. Now by using this #50 token, you can do further transactions in that same website. Or if you are doing a mobile transaction like PhonePe, Paytm, etc., your card data will be stored in the mobile in a secret locker and it will generate a token number. So by using this token number, every time you can do transactions. You need not go back to your card and enter it. So an easy technology, and this can be used for safe transactions without skimming. Then coming to next, DDoS and Shadowpad attack. First we will take up DDoS, distributed denial of service. Friends, why was it in news? Because bitcoin.org was attacked by the DDoS recently. So the Bitcoin technology was attacked by the deliberate denial of service. So how a deliberate denial of service or the distributed denial of service will work? So friends, I am an attacker. So I will pass malwares to these three systems. So these three systems will be having the malware, so they are infected. Now they are under my control, and these will in turn take the control of other many systems. So now all these systems are under my control. So whatever command I give, these will execute. And now I use all these controlled system as my slaves or bots or zombies. So these are called slaves, bots or zombies. The network of these bots is called botnet. So this is how the botnet word comes from. So now what happens? I give one single command to all these systems to hit one single server at a time simultaneously. So these systems, they continuously pass the command to one single server. So now what happens is that the traffic will be clogged. So there will be a gridlock in the traffic moving in and out of this server. And now the service provided by this server will be denied. And then how it will be denied? It would be denied by those systems which are distributed in various areas, and we don't know from which source these signals are coming. But we only know that this system is being clogged with the traffic, and that is why it is denying the service. So this is all about deliberate denial or distributed denial of service. So in brief, we look into the facts. DDoS attack is like an unexpected traffic jam clogging the highway, and then it carries out with the networks of internet connected machines. So all the machines need to be connected with the internet, and then these networks which have been infected with the malware are controlled by an attacker. Yes, we discussed then. These individual devices are referred to as bots or zombies. We discussed again then. Each bot sends requests to targeted IP address, potentially causing the server to hang. Then because each bot is a legitimate internet device, separating the attack traffic from the normal traffic can be very difficult. So that is why it becomes a distributed denial of service. So this service is not being denied by one single source, it is denied by the distributed source. So this is all about DDoS. Then come to next, Shadowpad. Friends, why was it in news? Because Shadowpad was successful in installing backdoors in several of the products released by NetZarang, a Korean company, and thereby it gained access to the confidential client information. So by crude, we can understand that the Shadowpad is a data theft antivirus or a data theft malware. Then what it is? The Shadowpad is a backdoor Trojan malware. So it opens a secret path from its targeted system to its command and control server. So all the target system will be under the command of the attacker, and then information can be extracted from those systems, or more malicious code can be delivered via this path. So either I can extract the information or I can send more lethal antiviruses. And then other malwares in the news are Red Echo. Red Echo also works in the same principle like the Shadowpad, and this was a suspect in Maharashtra Discoms attack. So we know that recently Maharashtra's Discoms, they were attacked by this Red Echo. And then as per the Recorded Future is a cybersecurity firm in US, and as per that the possible sources of these attacks are APT41, Barium, Vinity, Wicked Panda and Wicked Spider. So friends, these are the suspected sources from where these Trojan horses or malwares are coming from. And moreover, it also found that this Red Echo was from APT41, and it also had some other sources like Vinity and Barium. And moreover, APT41, as per the Recorded Future, is suspected to be performing all these activities at the behest of Chinese government. So indirectly we can say that all these malware attacks, Trojan horses, are being carried out by the help of Chinese government, or Chinese government is sponsoring all these attacks. So, this is the main discussion here. Then moving to next, the wireless charging concept. So, friends, why was it in news? Because engineers they devised a novel approach to wirelessly charge the wearable devices. So, what are wearable devices? Those devices we wear upon, maybe the Bluetooths, the watches, then bands, then other electronic devices which we wear. So, what is this technology all about? Friends, here we can use one single device such as a mobile phone or a smartwatch to wirelessly power up to 10 wearables on a user. And then this novel method uses the human body as a medium for transmitting the power. So, here human body itself is the medium. Then the process is termed as body coupled power transmission. And then it does away with the need to charge multiple batteries in tandem. So, friends, in crude, what is this technology? So, if my mobile is 100% charged, but my Bluetooth is 20% charged, and then my watch is 10% charged. So, now what happens? I will wear this watch, I will wear this Bluetooth, and I will also keep this mobile in my pocket. So, automatically this mobile it will start charging this stopwatch and the Bluetooth. So, automatically through my body, these charges they pass on to these devices. So, this is how the body coupled power transmission is done. So, we know that human body is a good conductor of electricity. So, that concept is made use of to wirelessly charge those electronic gadgets which the human beings are wearing. And then body coupled powering. So, what is this, friends? Here the human body is able to harvest the electromagnetic energy emitted from various gadgets like laptops to power the wearable devices. So, here you need not have this mobile in your pocket in order to be charged. So, in other words, if you are working in a laptop, this laptop will send some electromagnetic signals to which you are exposed to. And now, these electromagnetic signals will be converted into the chargeable signals by your body, and then it will charge the mobile that is in your pocket. So, just by working with a laptop, your mobile will get automatically charged. So, this is called body coupled powering. And do not forget to charge this laptop, else the whole charge of the laptop will be sucked up by this mobile through your body. So, this is all about wireless charging concept. Then coming to next, artificial neurons. Friends, the meaning itself says that it is artificial neuron cell. And then why was it in news? Because artificial neurons they recorded the signals from the brain waves of epilepsy patients to identify which regions of the brain cause epileptic seizures. Then what is an artificial neuron? This is a single neuron cell and it is called McCulloch-Pitts neuron, and it has multiple inputs and one output, and this is analogous to the axon of biological neuron, and the output can be both the last in the network architecture and input to the next neuron. I am sure none of you have understood, we will discuss in detail. Friends, this is a natural neuron. It has several inputs via dendrites. So, these are called dendrites and this is the nucleus of the neuron cell, and we have an axon here. So, this will carry the signal and it will deliver the output here. So, friends, here the logic will take place. So, whatever the logic has to be taken place, addition, subtraction of signals, coupling, decoupling, everything will take place via this nucleus and the axon. The same way these artificial neurons will work. So, here like the dendrites, multiple inputs will be given and those inputs they will be processed in this neuron. So, here some semiconductor chips or some op-amps, operational amplifiers. So, such chips, microchips will work on the manipulation of these signals and the output will be provided, and this output may be the final output if this neuron is in the last stage of the neural architecture, or if it is in the middle of the architecture, the output of one neuron can become the input of the other neuron. So, this is how the chain works. So, a simple concept. Then more about applications of artificial neuron. So, it is helpful in the health sector. Yes, we know that, friends. Just now it caught the signals of brain waves from the epileptic patients. So, when we are catching the brain waves, we can learn more about the functioning of the human brain. Then we can devise artificial brains which can just think like the human brains, and then artificial intelligence will come once if we start a machine that thinks like a human brain. And then supercomputing. Yes, friends, when the semiconductors they start thinking like a human brain, then we will be having huge computational speed. And then big data analysis. Yes, once again, when the data is huge, computational speed will be heavy. That is why intricated neurons or artificial neurons can give a great help too. And in this figure, we can see the artificial neural network. So there are different stages, and the output of one stage will become the input of other stage, and likewise the data will be processed and ultimately output will be provided. So we can keep this as a primitive artificial brain. So this is all about artificial neurons. Then come to next, narrowband Internet of Things. So why was it in news? Because for the first time, BSNL launches world's largest narrowband Internet of Things to provide connectivity for millions of unconnected machines, sensors and industrial IoT devices across the country. So BSNL has come up with this narrowband Internet of Things. So we will discuss in detail, friends. What is a narrowband and what is a broadband? So broadband is that band which is having a wider bandwidth and it works in a wider area. But however, narrowband has a narrow bandwidth and it can work only in smaller areas. So now, how this narrowband is being used? Friends, we know that the bands are being allocated to various internet service providers in India. So if we consider 4G band, so different bands are being allocated to BSNL, Vodafone, Airtel, etc. So now BSNL is making use of this border spectrum. So these narrow bands of border spectrums, these are being unused by almost all the service providers. Say they use most of the middle spectrum and these will be spared. So BSNL is harnessing these border spectrums and it is building a narrow band throughout India. How it is doing that? Friends, this narrow band, it acts as a cell throughout India. So here this is a single cell and this is controlled by this narrow band. So narrow band of 2 gigahertz will form a cell throughout India, and this cell, it will provide internet connectivity to almost all the devices which are present in the Indian mainland as well as those present in the Indian seas, or in other words, even to the ships that are sailing in Indian seas, the Internet of Things will be provided. Now, what are the disadvantages? Friends, we know that we are using the narrow band and we are using the lower frequencies. So automatically when we are using lower frequencies, then the travel distance will be longer, but however the speed will be slower. But nevertheless, BSNL is contemplating this because in the rural areas the number of internet users will be less, and moreover many rural areas they lack even this slow speed internet as well, and better something than nothing. And then coming to more about this NB-IoT. NB-IoT is a low power wide area network technology that works virtually anywhere. So we know, friends, here the narrow band will be utilized. So when the narrow band will be utilized, the power consumption will be less, because the power required to power this narrow band is very less. And moreover, this facility is provided by the satellite directly. So we know that BSNL has a good tower connectivity and also the satellite connectivity. So as a result, the tower antennas can be reduced to size, and hence power consumption overall will be less. And then it will connect many more devices to the Internet of Things and make many new applications a reality. Yes, it will make, as it will connect the gadgets of India to one single internet, and then it is optimized for applications that need to communicate small amounts of data over long periods of time. Yes, friends, as the internet is slow, we can only transmit smaller amount of data. But however, as the internet can travel for longer distances, we can send the data for longer durations or for the longer distances. Then come to next, since it operates in the licensed spectrum, it is secure and reliable, providing guaranteed quality of service. Though it uses the border spectrum as we spoke earlier, these are licensed, friends. So these border spectrums, they are licensed for BSNL. So that is why there will be least interference. Then it connects devices more simply and efficiently on already established mobile networks. So we know that BSNL already has a good tower network and it can make use of that network and it can give internet services. Then some of the advantages of this NB-IoT. It is very low power consumption, yes, we discussed it. Then excellent extended range in buildings and underground. As the waves can travel for longer distance, it can penetrate into the nooks and corners of the nation. So here we can see one of the usage of this NB-IoT. So this ship is connected to the NB-IoT, and whenever the cyclone arrives, the message will come like at 8:10 am, boat at sea, cyclone expected in 8 hours, return to the port. So as soon as the message arrives, this ship can return to the port as soon as possible. So this is how Internet of Things works. And moreover, friends, if you connect Internet of Things to a solar water pump. So, if there are any glitches in the solar water pump, before it gets spoiled, it will give you the message saying that I have been having problem in this and this device, please rectify me, else I will get spoiled. And if you connect the Videocon AC air cooler to the Internet of Things, that will be directly in connection with the Videocon company. And once if there is any glitch going on, the Videocon company will itself message you saying that your AC is undergoing such and such problems, you can rectify it, else we are not responsible if the system spoils. So, these are the advantages of Internet of Things, and this narrowband Internet of Things, it provides cheaper, low cost and long distance Internet of Things facility. Then network security and reliability, as it uses licensed spectrum, there will be security. And then lower component cost. So, the router which you use for this NB IoT is costing some 800 to 900 rupees. So, it is cheaper as well. So, I hope you have understood this narrowband Internet of Things. So, instead of using the broadest band which works at 5 gigahertz etc., we will use only 1.9 gigahertz band, and with this we will provide low cost internet. And even though it is slower in speed, does not matter, because our rural people, they lack even this facility. So, this is a low budget Starlink project, we can say in other words. So, if you have better knowledge of Starlink project of Elon Musk, you can understand this even better. Then come to next, the Darknet. Friends, why was it in news? Because recently records of 20 million Big Basket users were made available on the Darknet. So, this Darknet, it has robbed the data of 20 million Big Basket users. So, then what is Darknet or a dark web? It is that part of internet which is not accessible through traditional search engines like Google and normal browsers like Chrome or Safari. So, you cannot search this Darknet content via Google browsers. Then it generally uses non-standard communication protocol, which make it inaccessible to internet service providers or government authorities. So, even the internet service providers or the government authorities cannot access this content. And then the content on the Darknet is encrypted and requires specific browsers such as the Onion Ring browser to access those pages. So, this Onion Ring is required. So, what is this Onion Ring, friends? So, this is a browser which hits multiple servers at a time. So, by using this Onion Ring browser, if you click on a link, this browser, this will hit on multiple servers. So, just like how the onion has different layers within it, so likewise the layers of servers will be attacked by this Onion Ring browser. So, by any of the server, there will be data hidden and that will be retrieved by this server. So, this the Onion Ring, which was designed by US Navy, can access to the Darknet. The normal browsers, they cannot. So, now here is a brief data regarding the Darknet. So, here we have three kinds of web, friends. They are, the first one is the surface web or the World Wide Web, which is available free of cost to everyone by the very click of the button. Then there is one more, it is the deep web. So, here you will have to enter the passwords or you will have to fulfill some criteria in order to get access to this deep web. So, this is a bit confidential information. Then comes the dark web. So, this dark web will be completely encrypted and you will not get this data unless and until you use the Onion Ring like browsers. Then come to more about the Darknet. It is used by journalists and citizens working in oppressive regimes. So, they need utmost secrecy, that is why they use the Darknet. And then even some students to do researches, they will use it. And then it is also being used for drug dealing, arms trafficking, then illegal communication by terrorists, etc. Then come to next, deep learning. Friends, why was it in use? Because deep machine learning system, it completed inferring information about bioactivity of 1 million molecules. So, at a time it studied 1 million molecules and it collected the data regarding the chemical activities and other physiological processes going inside the molecules. Now, what is the difference between machine learning and the deep learning? Machine learning is a part of artificial intelligence that enables machine to learn from past data and perform a given task. Yes, we know that, we have learned this. And now deep learning is the subset of machine learning and is also called deep neural learning, and it is inspired by the functionality of the human brain cells, which are called neurons, and leads to the concept of artificial neural networks. So, we spoke about artificial neural networks in the past, and then in deep learning, models use different layers to learn and discover insights from the data. And some applications of deep learning are self-driving cars, language translations, natural language processing, etc. I know you have not understood, friends. We will discuss in detail. Friends, consider a cat and a dog, and now you call machine learning to identify which is a cat and which is a dog. So what this machine learning does, it goes to its previous memory and it sees the nose of the dog, the nose of the cat. So at the very first instance, the nose will be different and it will identify this is a cat and this is a dog. And now I will give 200 different cats and dogs, and they will be of different breeds. And now if I give this to the same machine learning system, it cannot do this job because it is not habituated to so much huge data. So now comes the deep learning. So how the deep learning works is that it works like the human brain or the artificial human brain. So here different layers of neural network will be provided. So now how this neural network works is that at first the nose will be taken up. So it will see the nose of all the 200 animals or the different cats and dogs which I have been provided. And in that most of the identification will be done. But there will be some 20 to 30 cases wherein the nose of the cats and dogs will be similar. So that will go to the second stage of layer, and here the height will be checked. And then there will be some 5 to 10 species wherein the height will be same and even the nose will be same. That will go to the third layer of network. So here likewise layer to layer the process will be done and ultimately it will give an output. So we know that this layer by layer functioning is very much akin to the artificial brain or the artificial neural network. So deep learning is that learning which uses the artificial neural network and it performs calculation in different layers. And yes, it is a part of machine learning, but it is an advanced technique of machine learning. So we have three stages of artificial intelligence, that is artificial intelligence, that is simple thing in the first stage, then machine learning, learning from the past in the second stage, and deep learning in the third stage. So this is all about the deep learning, and this is the difference between machine learning and deep learning. So this is all about deep learning. Come to next, thermal imaging via nanocrystals. Why was it in news, friends? Because for the first time in the world, the infrared light has been successfully transformed into visible images in an ultra thin screen. So even earlier we used to convert these infrared lights to the visible images, but that used to take huge process and it used to incur huge costs. But now it has been done via nanoscale crystals, and now it can be done cheaply with the lesser cost. Now we will discuss more about thermal imaging. Friends, thermal imaging is different from night vision technology. So in this figure, this shows the night vision technology and this shows the thermal imaging. So in the night vision technology, whatever small light is present, that will be magnified and amplified so that it will make the eyes to see those objects. So this is just the amplification of whatever visible light that is present. But thermal imaging is different. Here 0 light will be present or 0 visible rays will be present. Here the heat emitted by the body will be taken up by the camera and it will form the image. So this is how the thermal image works. So different in color shows the difference in temperature. And now in order to capture this thermal image, we cannot use a glass lens, friends, because this glass lens will not allow infrared rays to pass through it. So now the lens made of germanium has to be used, and this germanium is very costly, friends. And moreover, once the infrared rays they enter into the camera via germanium lens, it is captured via sensors and then it will be converted into the visible images. Now before converting into the visible images, we know that the temperature difference is the only criteria for the image to be formed. So these colors are formed only due to difference in temperature. Friends, we also know that in the course of working, the electronic gadgets will also be heated. So even the thermo imaging camera will be heated. But now the heat of the thermo imaging camera can drastically affect the imaging. So if we add the heat of camera to here, the image can spoil to a great extent. So that is why this camera should be maintained in the absolute zero temperature, or the cryogenic system has to be inbuilt within this camera in order to work properly. So this germanium cell as well as this cryogenic system, they cost huge to the camera and also they make the camera very bulkier. But now what this nanotechnology has done? So in this nanotechnology, a single layer of nanocrystals are being taken up and they are arranged in a film, and now the infrared rays are passed. So these infrared rays are found to be readily passing through this thin film. So in other words, this is acting as a germanium lens, which was costlier and bulkier, and now a thin film can do it. And moreover, these thin films, they are converting these infrared rays into electromagnetic waves via surface plasmon resonance. So we discussed about surface plasmon resonance in the last topic. So by using that, these are being converted into electromagnetic signals. So once they are electromagnetic signals, then we need not control the heat of the camera. So even with the heated camera, these electromagnetic signals will work because they will not be affected by the temperature. So now both the germanium lens and the cryogenic system are not required for a camera to work. Only this nano film can work. So this has reduced both the bulkiness and the cost of this thermoimaging camera. So this reduction in bulkiness and the cost, it can help defense sector to a great extent, that now the jawans, they need not carry bulky cameras on their heads, and they can do their job effectively by just carrying these thin nano microfilamented cameras. And moreover, this can also help in safe drives at night, then walking home after the dark, etc. So almost all the thermal imaging sector will be having a great overhaul by this technology, and it can reduce the cost and it can enhance the effectiveness of the thermo imaging concept. So this is all about the nanotechnology in thermal imaging. Friends, come to the last part. Once again friends, understanding the concepts is the sine qua non for science and technology to be remembered. So even if you by heart hundreds of times, you will never remember science and technology. Hence, understand the concepts, try to Google it out, try to learn the background of it, spend some time. Even though you are slow, you will be having a thorough knowledge. All the very best friends. Good luck.